At an early age that anything sweet is a treat, but is it really? Katie Kimball, founder of Kids Cook Real Food, is here to talk about some less sugar solutions. Katie, good to have you with us. And why is sugar so bad, especially for children?
You know, as a kids cooking teacher and a healthy food advocate, I hear a lot of parents say, Katie, everything in moderation is fine. But when it comes to sugar, we know that sugar, research shows, can be slightly addictive, almost as much as cocaine. We know that it really messes with blood sugar regulation, which is why kids sometimes get a little wild. And then when the sugar drops, they get hangry, they get frustrated and upset, and it's harder for them to control their emotions. And definitely, I mean, if nothing else, it's a completely empty nutrient. So any sugar you eat is taking the place of something that should be nourishing the kids' growing brains and bodies. And so, you know, pound for pound, ounce for ounce, kids are smaller than adults. And so every bite kind of counts a little more. So that's why, especially for kids, we want to avoid sugar as much as possible. But I know parents can't do it all. That's why I like to talk about how can we reduce it instead of cutting it out so that it seems overwhelming and impossible.
You say we don't necessarily have to cut sugar out completely, but when is a good time to start weaning kids off of sugar?
So for those mamas out there who have little babies or are maybe expecting, my top tip always is to withhold processed sugar as long as possible. So I have 4 kids and I got better at this every time. My first child probably had his first sucker at 15 months, but by the time baby 4 came around, he was over 3 before he had his first piece of candy. And I kind of had to train the grandparents, like, listen, grandparents, it is not deprivation if you don't give this child a sucker because they don't know what a sucker is, right? It's actually a gift to them when they can think that fresh raspberries are like the sweetest, most amazing thing in the world. I can still picture, my oldest now is 15. And when he was about 15 months, I can still picture him like muscling this other toddler out of the way to get to the raspberries, which is a beautiful thing. So just try to keep that out of your baby's diet as long as possible.
So let's say kids already have a big knack for eating sugar things. How can we start the process of taking those levels down?
Right. I know a lot of kids really do have that sweet tooth. And I think in quarantine, it's so interesting because we don't have to worry about the sugary drinks after soccer, or teachers giving little candies as rewards, or the bus drivers giving candy on the way home. For better or for worse, we're 100% in charge of what our kids eat. So it's a great time to sort of wean the palate. So there are some ingredients that are sort of sweet mimicking. So for example, cinnamon and virgin coconut oil that smells and tastes like coconut. We put these things in our oatmeal instead of brown sugar. And it sort of just ignites that sweet area on your tongue and makes you think that things are sweeter. Vanilla can do the same thing when added to recipes. And when it comes to vegetables, caramelizing them adds a natural sweetness. So cooking onions for a really long time till they're brown, or roasting vegetables, can be great ways to get kids excited about them.
You teach an online cooking class. Tell me more about that.
Right. At Kids Cook Real Food, we like to set ourselves apart that we are 100% healthy food. We focus way more on the vegetables and stir frying and sauteing and using whole ingredients for dinner than we do on the baking, which is what, a lot of other cooking classes tend to use processed ingredients, like wrapping crescent rolls around hot dogs. Whereas I'm going to say, all right, let's get a chef's knife in your hand. Let's cut up a watermelon or an apple or a carrot and make a homemade ranch dip to dip it in. So we are all about the healthy foods at Kids Cook Real Food.
To learn more about cooking online with kids, we will link you to Katie's website from ours at newschannel5.com.